All right, let's listen in.
النشيد الوطني للولايات المتحدة الأمريكية. السلام الملكي السعودي. سلام قدس.
So there you see our president with the Crown Prince. They have just arrived there, and you can see the military there. You heard our national anthem. You heard their national anthem. There they are in conversation.
Right. The president kind of loves this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and to see a world leader being his first visit, who appreciates his approach to power and the U.S., and he wants to hit the ground running here in every respect because, number one, when it comes to oil and gas, we are back on point. And Saudis didn't love it. We were maximizing the natural gas, the fracking.
Are they negotiating here, do you think, or do they start out with formalities? Like, how's your family? How are you doing?
I think it's going to be the formalities. I think the president enjoys the ceremonial aspect of this. But I also think he's thinking about legacy. He wants to be known, despite what the press may report, as the president of peace. The one that remember when he ran the first time, they said this was a guy that you could not trust with the nuclear codes. Meanwhile, you got many peace deals under his first term, and he wants to build upon that. He wants, when it's all said and done, when the 2 terms are done, that there was peace in the Middle East and there was no new wars.
Yeah, well, they hope for a diplomatic breakthrough with normalization with Saudi and Israel. But maybe this could open the door to future normalization talks, and Trump could use this as a framework to end that war. But the focus of this trip, according to experts and people in the White House, it's largely economic partnership and regional matters. Investments, like a major deal in arms, mega projects, AI. And Trump's aim is to secure $1 trillion in investments in U.S. companies from Saudi Arabia, building on that initial commitment of the $600 billion pledged by the Crown Prince.
Now they're doing introductions to the delegations, the VIPs on both sides, who are probably going to square off and talk about how to make progress. And they say the advanced teams have worked at almost all these things, but you never know what the personal relationship can build between two people when they have a chance to talk. And Ainsley, to your point about the Abraham Accords, if it wasn't for October 7th,
right.
this would have been a done deal. There's no doubt about it. In fact, Joe Biden was trying to get, he would never say the Abraham Accords because it would be a tribute to Trump's team, but he was trying to get this deal done prior to October 7th. After that, because this was the intent. Iran did not want to see this relationship flourish. They did not want to be bypassed by Israel fortifies relations.
Yeah, what is
between their
Iran's
neighbors.
reaction today when they see these images?
Well,
Brian?
they tried to get ahead of it, and they tried to let him know. At the same time, Ainsley, 48 hours ago, they were in one-on-one talks with the U.S., the fourth round of talks about denuclearizing.
Well, Brian,
so they know this is coming.
To your point about those negotiations, you just can't have peace. You got to have the strength as well, and that's what the past administration missed on. That we were talking about the dignitaries that's going to be on this trip. We talked about the business community, but you're going to have Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is going to be there, the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is going to be there, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, and the Energy Secretary Chris Wright is going to be there as well.
I'm struck also, I know oil-rich country, how beautiful everything is. When they landed on that tarmac in the middle of the night, even the tarmac has a decorative floorboard.
Oh, yeah.
It's not cement like, you know,
know.
a lot of other tarmacs. It was beautiful, and they rolled out the purple carpet, all the pomp and circumstance, the palace intrigue. Look at these gorgeous chandeliers.
A fist bump from the president.
And there was a lot of gold. I'm sure Donald Trump, you know, noticed that, the
That is
gold
his style.
chairs.
And the chandeliers.
And Lawrence, you said fist pump, not bump.
Yeah,
Right.
pump.
That's a big deal.
It's the pump.
He's like
Yeah.
happy about it. He loves this stuff. And I think there's a few things happening here, too. The one thing, I watched Brett Baer last night on a special report, and he was talking about how quick they're building these massive cities. They don't really have the regulations. They have labor that they fly in. They don't have union breaks every 90 minutes. And they're able to put together cities out of the desert rapidly. And that's also makes, they look westernized. It looks like something you could see in Nashville. Or over in Los Angeles.
Well, it goes back to the relationship as well with the president, the builder in chief. He loves, first of all, he has businesses all over the world. And he talks about that in the United States as well, getting rid of all those regulations and making it business friendly so people can build.
Right. It's big, it's tall, and there we go. So this looks to be essentially a photo op as a prelude to lunch.
Oh, and you already see that Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, and Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, are joining the president.
Is Marco
right now.
Rubio to MBS's left, to his left hand?
With their defense minister
Leaves
as
to the
well as
president.
their chief diplomat as well, sitting next to each other. And you already see those counterparts start their conversations as well as the president and their leader have their conversation.
So this is the royal court. The honor guards you saw outside with our national anthem, their national anthem. They walked inside. They've been talking the entire time. MBS has had a smile on his face the entire time.
Speaks great English. So there's no translator necessary, obviously. And look at the time. It's 12:30 in the afternoon. So they're ready to go here.
Brian, if you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think he was educated in the States as well, right?
And he finished second in his law school class.
I guess
Bright individual.
we don't know what happened to the first person.
Yeah, right. There's Pete Hegseth to the left-hand side of your screen. To
Look, if
Donald
there's going
Trump's
to be, Ainsley, if there is going to be a defense deal with us, right, which is going to happen if they're going to recognize Israel, Pete's going to be the one that's going to work it out. Like, how do we respond if Saudi Arabia is attacked? I mean, the way NATO responds, we're supposed to respond if Germany's attacked. Basically, there's got to be plans in place there. So, and of course, you wonder if NATO is going to be involved in this. I highly doubt it, but that's what they're asking for the U.S.
Yep. Saudi Arabia, their goal is to obviously treat Donald Trump well, treat their guests well, evade any diplomatic landmines, and then win concessions from Trump on the Gaza war. The State Department said, quote, Trump will look to strengthen ties between the U.S. and our Arab Gulf partners during this visit.
Well, I also think it goes to the point that, you know, for all of the Crown Prince, all his faults, and there are many, as it relates to the Arab world, I think it has been a very close ally. And when it comes to checking some of the other Arab world and letting them know, look, we're going to stand with America where we can, I think that's why the president is having this conversation as well.
What do you know, Brian? Do you know anything, or Lawrence, about the modernization of society there? I noticed the women that were on the plane representing America, some of the reporters, they didn't have to cover their heads.
Yeah. Right. There's been modernization efforts to know
that drive.
Yeah, women can drive.
Yeah,
They've made some efforts. But they have to. They also will warn too. Don't just assume that this thing's going to happen right away. No. It's going to happen gradually, and it's happening relatively rapidly. But I would add something else to the Saudi situation, and that is that they are looking to have a market economy to a degree. The other thing that to subplot here is in Israel, and it's important to talk to Ambassador Huckabee about this. They feel somewhat left out in the cold. They weren't really informed about Eden Alexander and the deal to get him out. We know that Saudi Arabia does not want Israel to go into Gaza. He wanted to talk to the president about that. And we know the plan, Tulsi Gabbard did not deny the fact that the New York Times story about the details in which Netanyahu detailed to Trump when he came to visit about taking out the Iranian nuclear program was nixed by the president. He says, I'm not doing that now.
I know he's also going to visit Qatar later this week, and then the UAE. This is his first formal state visit in his second term. And I believe his first trip in his first term was also to Saudi Arabia.
I think so, it was. And to Brian's point, I think this goes back to the worldview of the president. Although we may have friends, and we would definitely consider Israel as our closest friend and brother, as well as Ukraine as well. He wants to be seen as the person that's in the middle, to broker the deal, not taking sides, even though you're my friend.
But be a part of it.
But he wants to be a part of it and to allow peace to happen. There's two schools of thought. Some people want him to be more forceful, but he's saying, I can't really broker the deal if the other side feels like I'm just in the tank for the other side.
It's amazing how he's doing that with this situation with Saudi Arabia
and Ukraine and Russia.
Israel, with Ukraine and Russia, with India and Pakistan, being the middleman, getting the two leaders together. I don't even know if Zelensky would have met with Putin on Thursday if it weren't for Donald Trump.
Well, first, because the European leaders came out and said, before we ever have a meeting, there's got to be a ceasefire. Putin says, I'm offering a one-on-one Thursday. Trump looked at this and said, do it. Zelensky said, you want me to do it, I'll do it. Now, the pressure's on Vladimir Putin to show up.
It's all on him.
And he has gone radio silent since the offer. And when Trump says, hey, maybe I'll go visit, it puts more pressure on Putin. I think he was outmaneuvered. And I think, Lawrence, on Thursday, if Trump shows up and they talk, that would be enough.
Is that his wife? She was sitting next to him when they got off of Air Force One and they went into the terminal. She was sitting 2 seats next over from him.
And you see Susie Wiles back there, as he calls her, the Ice Queen.
In a good way.
Definitely handling a lot of the stuff behind the scenes. As you know, the president's gone through many chiefs of staffs in the first term. She has been solid.
On top of it. She is solid.
She knows him better than anyone.
Looks like she's talking to Howard Lutnick. And Donald Trump shaking hands with their delegation and their leaders. Sean Hannity was on Air Force One with him to get an interview that's going to air tonight. And
he did it already?
He already did it. And he said he'll get several interviews throughout the week with him, but this was the first one. And I think Donald Trump said, we can sit down for 10 or 15 minutes. I don't know the exact time, but it wasn't a long time. And they ended up talking for 45 minutes.
Oh, wow. Hopefully we get some news out of that as well.
Right. What's interesting is when Donald Trump first came up in the 80s and he was famous, they said Donald Trump does not like shaking hands. Right? Yeah. So if you go up to him, don't shake his hand. And I remember thinking that. I was working in sports at the time going, if I meet Trump today, don't
shake his hand.
Put my hand out. But obviously that's not true. So and if he had a problem, he's over.
He uses those wipes that have like a lot of alcohol on them. And
he's actually been transparent. He says, now that I've become a politician, you got to shake hands. And if you see him, he'll extend his hand first to shake your hand.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.